Hey guys, I'm David Gutierrez. I'm a 3-year upper from Hightstown, New Jersey. I'm a prefect at Draper, and I'm also an AMP mentor.
I'm Juan Pablo Villarreal. I'm from Monterrey, Mexico, and I just want to jump right to it. So we have 5 main proposals, which include Power School, an online grading system, reconstructed orientation, a Get Huge or Moderately So for the gym, expansion of text exchange, and a day student mentoring program.
Essentially to bring everyone into the conversation of student council. I'm a current member, and one of the things I've noticed from my experience is that a mission is much more powerful when the entire student body is behind it, and that is the key to efficiency. We need the entire student body to show support or to go against certain initiatives for them to really take hold. Thank you, guys.
Hi, I'm Antonia Leggett. I'm a 3-year upper from Manchester, Massachusetts, living in Paul Revere. I'm a dedicated member of Mock Trial and Model UN, as well as a loyal stepper for SLAM. Woo! And I would say that my leadership in these positions is definitely transferable to student council, and we believe that as a pair, we will be able to put our best foot forward to lead the school.
In our conversations with each other, fellow students, trustees, alumni, etc., we've noticed a general trend in what needs to happen, and that's to bring the Andover experience and focus of it back on your time at the Oda.
So hi guys, I'm Sina Golkari from Squamscott, Mass. Like Tessa, I'm a 3-year upper. I'm currently a prefect in Rockwell. I'm an editor for Frontline. I run Architecture Club, and I've previously been on student council with Lower Rep, and I've also been on budget council with Going Met for Pemberton College.
I'm Tessa Peterson, so I'm from Boulder, Colorado. Right now I live in Paul Revere. Recently I play varsity soccer and then lacrosse. I'm an admissions ambassador, passionate member of French Club. I do Sunday school community service, and just like Sina, I have past student council history, so I was freshman representative at my lower year, served on the student council reform committee.
So we'd like to thank you all for taking us this far, and we'd also like to quickly thank all the candidates for pushing us as people and as a pair to sort of get us where we are today.
Yeah, so what we're going to talk about tonight is our joint mission, which is addressing student life in 3 categories. So student convenience, student health, and community integration.
And we know that
School exemption. So we don't think that student council is specific enough in its actions. We think that in order to address the issues that we have on campus, we need to implicate small, precise reform instead of talking about broad, large-scale changes.
We need to talk about things that are feasible and plausible and things that we can accomplish in 1 year, because that's what's most important. But we also recognize that you want to enjoy your time here at Andover, and that's crucial. We want to make this an environment that you want to go out and have fun. So we're here to embrace student council.
What was fascinating for us was the responses people gave really differed from what we usually thought of student council doing. And so for us, what we're trying to accomplish is basically what exactly people told us. And we incorporated that in our plan.
I think one of the things that we could do better as representatives of the student body is sort of have a better understanding of what truth and humility is and a better understanding of what actually goes on campus, rather than painting an idealized picture or stepping up and playing up these events. Specifically, what really got Carter and I was the idea that this debate, this caucus, was like timed down to the minute. We were supposed to dress formally when we should really just be like a student friend, like I guess like an extension of your ideas. So I feel like if we can sort of, I guess, play down co-presidency, it would really reflect better on students. And I guess that's my response and Carter's response as well.
It sounds cliche, and I'm sure you're going to hear this a million times, but transparency is key. Even when we're running, we don't entirely know what's going on in student council. There are ideas going around that even necessarily we're like putting forth, we're actually happening. It's crucial that we let the people know what's going on, good or bad. It's our job to solve it as a community, since Andover is a community. And we also need to pay attention that your voices also need to be heard. And in order for you to have informed decisions, you need to know what's going on in student council.
One thing that I think our upper reps did very well, Arthur, Korean, and Rebecca, was they made a student council website. And I thought that was a good idea. But one thing was it wasn't updated frequently, and it wasn't that consistent. Personally, working with the Phillipian, I really appreciate print. And I think we could make a monthly student newsletter that would go out and be distributed to members of campus.
So for student art, this is kind of directly addressed to you guys. Blueprint has been so great for me. I know that I use the printers in Commons all the time and sample all the time, but there are some people who really don't know about them. I think that speaks to a little bit more student outreach and accessibility of student council. And like letting people know that once you complete an idea, like it's really out there. And I know that we got one email about it, but kind of advertising more when you are successful, and then kind of having better accessibility.
So building off what Tessa said, I think a huge part of our philosophy, unlike some other candidates who've sort of been trying to work transparency and accountability into their platforms, is that we think it should be intrinsic to the leader. So your presidents, your leaders should feel free to come up to you and speak with you about their ideas.
Agreeing with Tessa, Blueprint has been fantastic, and the other things that you guys have done have really served to be very convenient for the student body. But one thing that Antonia and I want to do is our proposals with them will bring together the community more and make it more of a personal involvement because the student council really is nothing without the input of the student body and the inclusivity that comes with that.
And something that we're talking about specifically when we think about making the school a little bit more personal is addressing our platform of rethinking the advising system, in which case you would be placed with an advisor matched with your specific needs and interests.
Something that I've noticed is that it's definitely not enough to simply ask students to come to student council with proposals if they're not active members, because it's an incredibly daunting task, one that can't be required of all students, obviously. So as student council members, it's essential to go out and reach out to students in your classes, or for the co-presidents to reach out to the students of the entire school, and to work with people who have very simple ideas to create legitimate proposals that we can pass through student council, and that's essential.
I would also like to add that student council is the face of the student body. So our role as co-presidents would be to bring forth the proposals of the student body to actually to get them to the administration.
So as a current member of student council, I see how it's run, and the number one thing with getting anything done is you have to have a very united team with clearly defined roles. And that's what we want to do. We want to specify, we think all the reps should be required to do a class event per term and apparel as just a given that's on the side. And then the focus in the room we propose is each rep runs off of the idea of a community proposal or some sort of idea to benefit the community. That could be any one of these ideas. And then we put together teams, and then David and I, we set deadlines. We keep track of them. We really clearly we think that we define the roles and we make sure that things get done. So that's our idea for changing student council. So our number one issue is health, the health of our student body. The one thing I've done this year, I worked with Ms. Kipp to bring you the new healthier additions to fourth meal. I met with her and just discussed that. I was telling her how so many students were upset with fourth meal, and she didn't even know. No one had talked to her. So I thought that was really, she was very surprised that people wanted to change, and I think people in general are fairly pleased about that. And then that segues into, the number one, so people are healthy, able to study well, think well, and then we strongly believe there needs to be more mental health awareness on this campus.
So we're thinking about to have like prefect training. In prefect training, you do mental health stuff. You learn about scenarios and how that could work. So we're thinking about incorporating that, and also we're thinking about having a possible school congress about mental health, because that's our main issue.
So our number one issue is health, the health of our student body. The one thing I've done this year, I worked with Ms. Kipp to bring you the new healthier additions to fourth meal. I met with her and just discussed that. I was telling her how so many students were upset with fourth meal, and she didn't even know. No one had talked to her. So I thought that was really, she was very surprised that people wanted to change, and I think people in general are fairly pleased about that. And then that segues into, the number one, so people are healthy, able to study well, think well, and then we strongly believe there needs to be more mental health awareness on this campus.
So we're thinking about when to have like prefect training. In prefect training, you do mental health stuff. You learn about scenarios and how that could work. So we're thinking about incorporating that, and also we're thinking about having a possible school congress about mental health because that's our main issue.
So Corinne and I both agree that one of the most important problems on campus is that big disconnect between the student body and the administration. We do not see that the administration finds the same problems as the student body has. So Corinne's going to talk a little bit about what we've done throughout this year.
Yeah, I mean, through my role on student council, I've definitely collaborated with many administrative figures. Last year I talked a lot with Rebecca Sykes about mentoring. This year I've been talking with Carlos to create the sex ed program. And what I've noticed is that there aren't efficient systems of student representation at events like faculty meetings or just meeting with faculty members in general in order to really get our ideas across to the faculty members.
So I have a little story to share with you guys. So early fall term, most of the prefects were invited to an all-class meeting for the freshman class. And one thing I won't forget is that Mr. Capano, he had us line up and he told us to go down the row one by one and give our names and what extracurriculars we do. And I think there's a really strong focus here on appraising our success, on how we sort of look on paper. And that focus on achievement is really causing a lot of stress to be put on students here, a lot of unnecessary stress. And Tess and I would really like to combat that with our student health website, which would have resources on dealing with things like stress, exhaustion, to get students to be sort of more open about issues like this and feel more comfortable with each other.
So when I started out the year as a prefect, there was a kid in my dorm, I'm not going to name names, but I thought he was having a rough time making the transition. And so I did whatever I thought I could to help him. I tried to spend more time with him personally. I tried to watch movies with him. I tried to show him funny YouTube videos that I saw. And I think now he's having a much better time, but I'll be honest, I didn't know what I was doing, and I think we need to make better use of the resources, not just Grant House, but house counselors, advisors, people we have on campus, not just students. But although students play the integral part in making this community tighter, but we need to actually be able to go out and reach to our advisors and our trusted adults on campus.
I guess our biggest push is for the idea of a more developed community and reducing the feeling of isolation here on campus. One of the ways Carter and I intend to do this is like another personal story for me. I'm a member of the GSA. I'm also a member of Mosaic. So I go into these already sort of slightly isolated communities, and sort of working with the kids who are part of them. I don't think there's a reason why kids like this are feeling more isolated than normal. Like there's something we can do to improve the discussion to make everyone feel more at home.
And the thing we really want to take is take the resources students that have been put down and out of the blue and really make that resource available to everyone and use it actively in the curriculum, especially while students are making transitions here.
Juan Pablo, you have been a student at Andover since September 2013, as long as any member of the junior class. Why do you feel you were qualified to lead student council when you will have only spent a year as a PA student by the time you assumed the co-presidency?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to say that I've been a part of several schools around the world, including a boarding school in Europe. And that being said, I know what Andover needs in terms of other systems that are in place in other boarding schools around the world. So, for example, when I got here, I realized that the text exchange system is not doing well. And coming from a school where every student got their texts for free, we think that we should alleviate some of the economic pressures that buying text has on a lot of families. Also, we would like to say that Corinne has extensive experience with student council and with the whole Andover community, so together we strike a balance that would allow us to address the wide spectrum of students here.
that if you have to show them, you have to be also, alright, you have to also be a role model for them. If you do your work, they'll do their work. And as for when they
Since there's such a large crowd in the back of the room, if you guys can be sure to speak a little closer to your microphone so everyone can hear you, that would be fantastic. So we're going to move on to the general question that we will all answer, and we'll go in reverse order this time. And the question is, what is one thing we have not done well as co-presidents? If you were currently in our position, what would you do differently?
Your presidents, your leaders should feel free to come up to you and speak with you about their ideas.
Agreeing with Tessa, Blueprint has been fantastic, and the other things that you guys have done have really served to be very convenient for the student body. But one thing that Antonio and I want to do is our proposals with them will bring together the community more and make it more of a personal involvement because the student council really is nothing without the input of the student body and the inclusivity that comes with that.
And something that we're talking about specifically when we think about making the school a little bit more personal is addressing our platform of rethinking the advising system, in which case you would be placed with an advisor matched with your specific needs and interests.
Something that I've noticed is that it's definitely not enough to simply ask students to come to student council with proposals if they're not active members, because it's an incredibly daunting task, one that can't be required of all students, obviously. So as student council members, it's essential to go out and reach out to students in your classes, or for the co-presidents to reach out to the students of the entire school, and to work with people who have very simple ideas to create legitimate proposals that we can pass through student council, and that's essential.
I would also like to add that student council is the face of the student body. So our role as co-presidents would be to bring forth the proposals of the student body to actually to get them to the administration.
So as a current member of student council, I see how it's run, and the number one thing with getting anything done is you have to have a very united team with clearly defined roles. And that's what we want to do. We want to specify, we think all the reps should be required to do class event per term and apparel as just a given. That's on the side. And then the focus in the room, we propose is each rep runs off of the idea of a community proposal or some sort of idea to benefit the community. That could be any one of these ideas. And then we put together teams, and then David and I, we set deadlines. We keep track of them. We really clearly we think that we define the roles and we make sure that things get done. So that's our idea for changing student council.
The question is for Corinne and Wanpa, and it's, why does it take hashtag straight shooters to execute ideas such as buying wigs and changing PNet's website, which can easily be addressed by pre-existing subcommittees like the Athletic Advisory Committee and the Technology Committees?
Thank you. Well, the straight shooting movement is just the face of our campaign. It is the underlying idea behind the campaign, which is to be clear about what student council is doing. We want to get every student involved in student council because it's not a private organization. That being said, we know that a proposal pushed by the entire school is way more powerful than a proposal pushed by a group of 16 members of student council. So
And also, traditionally, student council has dealt with issues in the athletic facility like Clark and Genius's athletic council and technology issues like Blueprint. So I think that those are both perfectly valid issues to bring up amongst the student council.
Keep moving down the line here.
Okay. So our question is for Councilman Cena, and we're here to kind of lighten the mood and keep things serious, but not like overly.
Okay, so we also agree that a lot of issues on campus need like fresh looks, like with self-assignment. But what about people who aren't too comfortable with them taking pictures and then sending them out on campus, even if it is just to trusted advisors? Like, Kenzie's Snapchat game is pretty good, but personally, I spend a lot of time finding the right angles. Very bad. So how would you address that?
I think that your house counselors see you in your best and your worst times anyway. That's part of being in a living community, is that we all go through the vicissitudes of like really bad moods. My house counselors see me in my onesie all the time. That's what I do on bad days. So I don't really think that there's any reason to hold back or worry about your image when it's just someone who is such an inherent part of kind of your living life already.
We'll have Hanover and Carter, please.
Hey, our question's for David and Rebecca. And for us, I'm just going to read a little part of the platform, of your platform. It's discovering your passions by improving the club system. Meeting with club members to set clear expectations and guidelines for campus organizations. For example, requiring board members to be active club members. And Hannah and I agree with the theme that you're going behind for this. But the question we have for you is, how would your proposal work? Because how do you, and meet with them to ensure active club members? How do you define active?
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, as someone who has tried almost every big club on campus, or not even small, I've tried so many clubs on campus. That was half the reason I came here, for the people and for the clubs. And honestly, I was very, very disappointed. Because there are, it's just become this kind of, there's this competitive nature to attending clubs, just going for the board position, and then it ends up being just 5 main clubs on campus, or 5 functioning clubs. So I think that we need to have a meeting. There's clearly no way of enforcing it. We're not going to be able to make people do it, but I think if we got the position, we would sit down, have a big meeting with all the club leaders. There's over 100 organizations here, and tell them what we expect of them and that they should really step up their game because they could be a valuable part of our campus.
So now is the part of the show where you guys get to participate. We'll be taking 3 audience questions. So if anyone has any, please raise your hand. Michaela.
Hello. So, good congrats to all you guys. Great to see you up here. A lot of friendly faces. So, everyone kind of in their proposal has stressed the idea of community and making sure that we kind of outreach to every single member of our community. How in your kind of time at Andover have you made sure that you've kind of broadened your reach as far as possible? Because when you're here, it's really easy to get that solid group of people that are often people you've been with since freshman year. So how have you branched out, made new friends, and also in the future, how is your kind of personality or how you live your life kind of easy for people to kind of want to get to know you and come up to you in the past? Thank you.
We're going to take 2 responses for now.
Hi, so one of the things that I've noticed, there's this story, I was walking around GW and a friend was just on the floor of the DSL, crying over homework. It was just really strange, and I didn't know this person personally, and so I knelt down and I said, let's go for a walk, let's talk, what's the matter? And this is sort of the mentality that I've continued with throughout my 3 years here at Andover.
It's literally let me have a conversation with you. Let me know you as a person. We have shared struggles. So I guess bringing the idea of community is sort of the little things, and I feel like I do a pretty solid job of embodying those things.
Thank you. More problems here?
Well, I'm a day student, and so one of the immediate struggles I found in coming to Andover was meeting new people, especially because orientation, I was very much segregated from boarding students, and so I guess throughout my freshman year and lower years, I definitely made an effort to reach out to boarders. I was lucky enough to find wonderful friends who would let me spend the night, but it was definitely a struggle trying to reach out into communities because I would go home at night. And so I think that through my experiences, I've definitely tried to reach out. And then on the student council as well, I love talking to people and asking them about their ideas and trying to find ways to create different programs like the sex ed one that we're creating on campus right now.
Started at Juan Pablo. So I know there's a lot of pressure at the school on grades and getting into college. And what that can often do is take away from the focus on learning here. And so how do you think that your program can encourage learning instead of only focusing on grades?
Thank you for your question.
I think it was, you said repeat for the question, or thank you for the question?
Thank you for your question.
Oh, I'm just buying you some time then, excuse me.
Alright, so basically Power School, the main purpose of Power School would be to alleviate the stress around not knowing how you're actually doing in a class. So we know that many students have spoken to us about this concern of really vague midterms, not really knowing how they're doing in their class until they get their final grade. So we understand that learning is a huge part of Andover, but we understand that people also are high-achieving students. So keeping both aspects in mind, we would like to propose Power School, since we think it's an online system that would actually encourage learning and achieving at the highest potential any student can achieve.
So we're going to take, since that was a camera-specific question, we're going to take one more question from the audience. Please.
I have a question for Sam about self-design. I understand like the logic behind it, but I feel like to students without smartphones or any kind of device that would take selfies, like it would be a little alienating. So just how would you work to resolve that issue?
Sure. So logistically, Tess and I have thought this through really well. We like to start the program on stationary iPads in places of study, so like Gallup, Morse, as well as dorms. And then if the system works well, in addition to those iPads, the app would be released for student smartphones. So then regardless of what device you had, you'd be able to use the system.
Yeah, a big point of self-designing is that you're actually at the place where you're supposed to be. And since there would be iPads installed there or another kind of tablet device that would take a photo, then everyone would have access to that.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you all for coming. That's the end of our debate. We're going to have closing statements really quickly. Excuse me. That was entirely my fault. If you would all do me the tremendous favor of excusing me once again and remaining for our closing statements. I saw the clock. I assumed it was time to go. I know you guys are very busy people, but if you would do me the tremendous favor of coming back in and listening to our candidates one more time, I would be very grateful to all of you. Thank you.
We'll start, we'll start with Carter and go the other way.
First, we'd like to say thank you to everyone who came out tonight. It was an amazing turnout. I guess one of the things we'd like to close on is just reiterating what we feel like we stand for as a team. The ideas that you have presented to us have shaped the platform that we've created. And over the course of running, we've been approached by students, by house sponsors, and it's just really been a humbling experience talking to you and trying to implement your ideas right from the beginning.
And so basically reiterate the question we've centered our campaign on is what do you struggle with most at Andover? And those questions, the answers that people have provided, they've been real deep thoughts. Like they've really made me think. Like lots of them like talking about like people transitioning, coming from all these different places, and I think it demonstrates that this community as we have it is something really special. But we need to continue to really iron out, like continue to help improve it. Thank you.
We also would like to thank you for coming out and sitting here in the meal room, which is a very beautiful room. But we mainly just want to reiterate what we're here to do. And we are both very passionate leaders on campus in most aspects of life in many different communities. And we think that by bringing our experiences from like the soccer field for me to like on stage with Azure to community service with the kids from Lawrence, I think we bring a huge wide kind of view of what it is to be an Andover student. And we want to come here and we want to lead you guys as your friends. And we want you to come up to us and we want to basically just brighten your day with smiles and everything, rainbows and
hugs, unicorns and rainbows.
but we also have some very concrete ideas that we want to pass and that we want to establish here in the community, starting small and working bigger by setting a precedent for those that come before, after, and while we're here.
I'll just say that this debate and this whole election has been, for me, really stepping out of kind of the comfort zone. And I think one thing that I can speak to is that there's no one I'd rather sitting here next to me than Sina. And I think that we're really qualified to lead the school because our relationship is one of mutual respect. And that's something that I've noticed this whole debate. Everyone sitting up here and all the candidates. But I'm just excited about it, all of it. So.
Yeah, I think our candidness and our honesty with each other is definitely what's taken us this far. And I hope it's what'll take us to the end. But thank you all for coming here and listening to us. And we had a great time.
So as a team, we think that the nature of the student council is changing. People say if we can just tweet at @JPalfrey #ConnectedAndover, we can just talk directly with him like that, then what's the point of having a student council? And on our platform, we have tangible ideas. We have very specific little proposals that we want to bring forward. But our main focus is a little bit broader than that, a little bit less tangible. And that's to bring the focus of Andover less on colleges, competition, and all that, and more on actually experiencing it and living it in the moment.
So as leaders, we believe that we have the capacity to bring about this change of, bringing a sense back of present-mindedness back to Andover. And with the ideas from our platform and all of your ideas, we hope that you will join us in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you.
The main aspect of our platform is honestly revolutionizing the infrastructure of student council, because I've noticed definitely that initiatives taken on by the entire student body are much more powerful and are much more able to get results and recognition from faculty members if they are supported by the student body. And so through the student council website, we wish to bring all of you there into our conversations, able to comment on live updates, able to vote on what you want, so that we can show faculty members what we truly care about, and then the issues will not be ignored.
That being said, we would like all the students to shoot their proposals at us. And thank you very much for coming out today.
So another thank you for coming. So basically we're just all about realistic ideas and a way to get it done. We know exactly what we want to do. We know exactly how we want to do it, and we know we can do it. And that's why we're here. We both dealt with so many struggles and a completely different set of struggles here at Andover. So I think that one of us or both of us can really relate to the student body here, and that's why we're running.
Not only that, but to be honest, we both come from different friend groups in the Andover community. although we both have leadership positions, and we like to connect with people. We like to talk to you guys. We like to find out what your grievances are or whatever problems you guys have. Like, one of our main suggestions is to find out what you guys think we should involve. It's not only the platform, but it's about the people, and that's what we care about. We care about the people.